welcome back to the Global DNA series. Today's show is going to be your pattern multidimensionality, and I am joined with the lovely Barbara Buck, who I just recently met, and I just adore this woman. It was like meeting a soul sister, and I'm so happy she's here. Barbara has been helping to raise the vibration of humanity as a healing facilitator since 2000. She currently practices multidimensional intuitive healing, etheric clearing, 5D quantum creation support, and facilitator mentoring. Her mission during this ascension cycle is to hold a clear space for others to be able to connect to their own unique pattern multidimensionality, and I love that. Welcome, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining us. It is such a pleasure to have you.
I'm so excited to be here too. Honestly, I don't enjoy doing interviews a lot. I don't know why. I'm kind of a behind the camera person, but finding myself out in front of it more and more lately against my will, because I just get guided to go ahead and you know, have the conversation with people. So thank you so much for the opportunity to get out there. You may hear little groans and whines. We have 4 dogs and we're in our RV. So you may occasionally hear a little groaning and complaining from our Mastiff over there in the corner. When I talk, you know, when I talk and he doesn't hear our voice back, he's like, what are you doing? So he likes to whine a little bit. So that's what that weird noise is in the background. Sorry about that.
Absolutely. I feel
it just adds a little ambiance to the whole situation.
And, you know, I'm sure he'll chime in when appropriately to agree or disagree with something.
Exactly. He's very communicative that way.
And I love that you live in an RV. So many people are being called van dwellers. I live in a community in Silver City that really welcomes van dwellers. And that's what I love about here. It is so It literally is one of the places that I have felt, other than being in the jungle, that is most untouched by the Matrix. And I love it. There's an art community here, and you know, we're just being called right now to really think about the way that we're living. You know, to really think about who we are giving money to and the systems that we're supporting. And so I love that, and I would love to know more about your story that unfolded in 2000 that really led you to sitting in front of this camera right now.
Oh my gosh. So, you know, I was one of those classic kind of star kids that, you know, I'm 52, so, you know, I'm a little bit older than I look. And so I'm kind of one of those, like, you know, what people call indigos or whatever you want to call them. I don't really identify with that, but just kind of one of the people who came here to kind of help everybody else kind of go through all the stuff before everybody else did, so that I can help them, right? So I always had abilities when I was a kid, and then just stuffed them down for the same reasons everybody else does. You know, you know, fear, getting you know, ostracized, you know, people telling me I was crazy or making things up, you know, all that kind of stuff that happens when you're a kid. So you stuff everything down. And so really I lived in LA. I grew up in Southern California, and everybody gets into the entertainment industry. So I was a makeup artist. I was a special effects makeup artist for films. And then I ended up getting jobs with a rock band, like a super famous rock band, and traveled with them and was their key makeup artist for 10 years. So I had a very superficial, really fun lifestyle, traveling the world in a private plane and staying in 5-star hotels, and it was a blast. And then we had this big earthquake in LA, and something happened to me. It just like shook me awake. I don't know how else to explain it. It just shook me awake. And I 5 weeks later, I packed up my stuff. And my sister and I both did, because she was also, she was in business management in the entertainment industry. And we just packed up our stuff and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona. We had no idea why. I quit my job in the entertainment industry, which was very confusing for people. I left a relationship, and I just wandered around for a few years trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And all of a sudden I had a dog I'd had this dog. She'd been with me through everything, and she got really sick, and she had advanced stage liver disease. And at the time, even though I had my mom's pretty spiritual and stuff like that, and the band that I worked for, the female singer was very spiritual too. So I had been around spirituality, but really I thought healers were kind of like charlatans, that it was fake. So my dog got really sick, and this Reiki master offered to do a free healing on my dog. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, knock yourself out. But I scheduled an appointment to put the dog down because she was in advanced stage liver disease and she was dying. And I saw the pictures of the liver. It was beyond repair. And all of a sudden, after she did the healing, my dog just got healthy. And so to the point of where I brought her back into the vet, instead of putting her down, they did an x-ray on her liver, and it was fine. It was small, but it was fine and functioning normally. And that was 3 days after she had been diagnosed. So I said, oh my gosh, what do you do? And how can I learn how to do it? She actually was in the Phoenix area. This was all done over the internet. She was in the Phoenix area. She was a visiting Reiki master from Japan. So she taught me Japanese style Reiki, which is, you know, a lot of people in America, their way of doing Reiki is very different. And so she taught me how to do Japanese style Reiki. And so I did Reiki. I became a Reiki master for a very long time. I did Reiki and I love it. It was like my gateway drug into energy medicine. And eventually I did it alone. I had nobody to help me. I went through a lot of trials and tribulations, and on a hard learning path. I got really sick, almost died. Just this whole trauma drama. Because I was, you know, buying into the whole new age thing, love and light, you know, don't look at your shadows, just ignore them, they'll go away. You know, that whole thing that we all buy into, because that's the only reference point that I had at the time. And I know a lot of people that are going to be listening to this or have gone through exactly what I've gone through. And I ended up, you know, joining a spiritual community. And then suddenly I got very, very sick. I ended up with Graves' disease. I had what you call Thyroid Storm, and it almost killed me. I was in ICU for 3 days. They were trying to get my heart rate and my blood pressure down because my thyroid decided to just start spewing out chemicals because, you know, my voice hadn't been heard. I hadn't been living my authentic truth. And so finally my body said, you know what, screw you, Barbara, that's it. you need to slow down and you need to change how you're doing things. And so there was a long road of healing. And what happened with that was really phenomenal, because I had to really go dive deep into my shadow, and I started going to multiple healers. I mean, every kind of healer you can possibly imagine. Including talk therapy, and nothing worked to help me, nothing. And then I met somebody who ended up being, you know, part of my soul group, my friend Eric Rains, who I had, right before I got sick, I had started doing energetic implant removals and entity removals and things. It was something that nobody taught me. It was just came into my space, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just really guided to do it. And then all of a sudden I ended up in the hospital. And so a few years later, of course I didn't go to anybody to have it done for myself, because I don't have that problem. Until I realized I had that problem, and I stopped ignoring my shadow, and I went and I got help, and Eric helped me do some clearing and things like that. And it just completely opened up my eyes to my mission here and my path here, which is, you know, it's twofold. It is, you know, it's helping people to do that work themselves. You know, helping people when we get a little bit of inundated with energy, because we have a lot of trauma that we haven't addressed. And then what happens is we get kind of stuck in this cycle of being fed on a little bit energetically, because we have all of this tasty negative energy that just begs to be fed off of, even though it's not our fault that this happens. It is a phenomenon that happens. So I tend to look at it quite differently than other people. I don't see it as an evil thing. I don't appreciate it, but I don't see any being as evil. But I do know that they can do some dastardly things and behave a little bit dastardly. So we don't want that in our space anymore. So I help to clear that out, along with, you know, all the different things that come along with it. All of the architecture that needs to be dismantled and things like that, that has been kind of, created around this situation we find ourselves in. But the secondly and most importantly is in the last few years, I've been really called to help people to connect in with their own smart parts and their own unique way of healing, or whatever their service work is here on the planet, to be able to kind of connect into that so that they can do their part, if you will. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, and even though I believe that everybody gets exactly the information that they need in the moment, I started to realize I needed to kind of put my face out there more on Facebook, because I'm like a secret ninja healer. For a long time I never even talked about it on Facebook, but people always found me through referrals and stuff like that. So I've been a very busy little bee. But I realized that, we need to move away from this, these new age concepts that served us quite well for a really, really long time. And they really kind of opened up the door for so many people like me to kind of start to realize, how much work we need to do and what we actually need to be doing, as opposed to what we've been doing for so long. That needs to shift. And so that's kind of why I'm here today, having a chat with you, and helping people to kind of find that within themselves is the most important thing for me right now, because we all have that smart part, and we all have that individual kind of mission that is unique. We all have a unique frequency that can do amazing magical things. So that's my whole shtick right now. I still do healings and stuff. Yeah, I still do healings really super regularly, but that's my primary focus, is to, train, people to find their own light, I guess you could say.
And thank you for that. And, one, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story, because I feel like right now, especially at this time, as we're recording this, the world is kind of, having its own kind of like moment to really settle into their heart.
Yeah.
And also that people can see that some of what we perceive in the outside as, tragedy or trauma or pain or a part of our life that isn't working, that there is such magic that can happen if you follow it through.
Yeah.
And it was a really beautiful, perfect story of that if you keep going in, eventually you get to the other side, and the other side is like fucking magic.
Yeah, it is. And, perception is programs, right? Our programs consist entirely of like unconscious programming, subconscious programming, and then our own personal programming, like beliefs that we actually buy into, but we have a lot of programming. We've got ancestral programming, genetic programming, we've got interference, that's synthetic programming. I mean, you name it. We got so much crap that we're holding in this beautiful, like bioelectric kind of computer that we're walking around in right now. It's not even funny. We also have a lot of amazingly beautiful things too that need to be turned on and that need to be,
absolutely. But I think at this time we're really being asked to really look at the biofeedback loop.
Yeah.
What are we a biofeedback loop to? Are we a biofeedback loop to technology? Yeah. Is technology based on love and compassion? Are our relationships based on love and compassion? And you touched on, I think a lot of like what people have been feeling and why people are so energy drained in, the enslavement of, we'll say, the 3D world, is it's parasitic. It is not a group of people or two people coming together who have the fullness of their energy and are creating a third energy, which creates more energy. It is a back and forth passive siphoning of energy. And this is really part of what we are being asked to let go of, is this parasitic vampiric energy, and be a true co-creator where that you have this power, that you are God, and that you can come together with another person and create more energy.
Yeah.
It's unbound. And I really wanted to get into what what are smart parts for you?
Okay. So here's the cool thing about human beings and just all beings in general, including even like the earth and planets and stuff, is that we're all multidimensional. What I mean by that, I know it's a word everybody's throwing around lately. So, you know, what it means for me is that, you know, every single layer of our energy body, of our light body, every single layer, from the first layer, you know, let's just, even for giggles, just say we have 7 layers. We have way more than that. We are a vast, huge being, but for purposes of this physical incarnation, this personality complex I got going on here that's talking to you out of this mouth, you know, we got 7 layers. Okay. So, you know, you've got layers, you get a layer that's got like a miasmatic package that's got all of your, you know, past life, you know, experiences, or you know, trauma that hasn't been resolved yet, ancestral stuff, all this kind of thing. You got, you know, you've got programming a layer that has all of your programs on it. You've got your 3D layer, which is your current experience in this time-space reference point in this reality, although that's shifting for a lot of people. You've got the astral layer, you've got, you know, which is a fun place, and it's also kind of scary. And then, you know, but we all create there together, right? It's a shared space that we connect into. We've got the 5th dimensional blueprint that's got all of this amazing information of your, you know, why you're here, that perfect version of yourself. And then you've got your 6th layer, which is your celestial layer, with all of this, you know, lovely, beautiful information. And this is where you start to connect into the other parts of you that are not experiencing reality in this specific place. Okay. Like your non-local guys. And then you've got your 7th layer, which is where you really start to connect into what we call an oversoul, or just your kind of like boss man, so to speak, or boss lady. That's kind of running the show for all the other yous that are running around out there, because there's multiple me's running around out there. This is my belief anyway. So, you know, I know that's like a very watered down, very quick little version. What to me, my smart part is it's all of it together working in a unified whole, connected in and able to experience reality from all of those places, to be able to go in and look at where I need to deal with my shadow, but also be able to connect into my higher self that gives me the information that I need from a perspective of a more holistic perspective, being able to see the bigger picture, but also being able to connect in with my emotional centers and connect in with my perfect version blueprint of myself. So for me, what that means, a lot of people think, oh, my smart part is, you know, my higher self out here, my angelic body, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's all of it actually working in unison. The whole point that we incarnated onto 3D wasn't to help the poor humans. It was also to like, really, it wasn't just about us to like say, okay, let's get off this planet, let's get out of 3D. It was to be able to become fully embodied so that we can bring all of that information that is, you know, on the outer layers of our field and connects us into the human collective, the galactic collective, the universal collective, and all that kind of stuff. We can bring all that information here into this right here and be able to access it freely. So that's my definition of what smart part is. It's being a whole, unhindered, unleashed human.
I love that. I mean, that is exactly it. And, you know, I love that we're doing similar work, only I'm using the medium of DNA. But through these 12 strands of DNA, there are layers and there are frequencies, and it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when they have coherence, you have coherence with the universe.
Right.
And I call that, you know, being the universal human, where your consciousness is tapped into several layers of the multiverse. And you have a human perspective, but you also have, you know, your galactic perspective, and you have your God perspective, and you also have another witnessing beyond that.
I agree.
All of these together as a creator in this, because you are part of the infinite, ever expanding consciousness of all the universes.
Right.
And
yeah, the multiverse.
The multiverse.
Absolutely.
And we are creating it. We are breathing it. We are the fabric of it. there's a part of us in every solar system, every planet, every molecule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
yeah,
so,
we're not just the stars, we are everything, you know.
and I think that this what is happening right now in the world is this opportunity for us to see that we are deeply connected,
Mm-hmm.
and that we are a collective consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is the training ground for a wielding of something new for us. And at this period of time, we've connected together through pain and suffering.
Yeah.
And now we get to find and wield a new way that is of light and joy and love and co-creation for the new human and the new earth.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, we all are creator beings, where we all create, whether we do it consciously or not. So, you create in realms that you don't even know about, and so what happens is for me personally, if I'm going to be a creator being and I'm going to create realities, I need to do it consciously. I want to consciously do that, because when we talk about, there's been all this talk in the last few years about, you see all these things about in 5D and let's go to 5D and all this kind of stuff, and we're going to go to the new 5D and 5D Earth and everything like that. Just my understanding of reality is that already is in existence. What's not been in existence is humanity's connection into those specific realms of beingness and that wholeness. When you hear about law of one and you hear all of those conversations, you have to understand that it's not about becoming something new. It's about remembering the things that we already are. I mean, we've always had 12 strands of DNA here. Our original
and more
configuration.
strands. Our strands are quantum.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
This is just a remembrance. We are encoded with this information.
Exactly. We're actually just finding ourselves again. That's all it is. That's all it is to me, anyways. It's not a new thing. It's a remembering. And so that is I think that it's imperative for people to understand that, because they try to strive for something that they aren't. But that's not the reality. The reality is that that's something that they are. They've just forgotten. And the second you start to remember, that's when you start activating. That's when you start downloading, or whatever you want to call it. You start activating your genetics, you start activating those strands, and and then we also have a lot of help from the planet and
absolutely,
and
our galactic beings. I mean, there are so many. There are so
we have
many
a lot of help
beings, and what I really love about working with DNA is I call DNA like the Akasha Novus. It is like our master ancestor, and it is quantum, like everything else. The 12 strands are just fractals of 24 and on up, and that we have access to every type of genetic DNA that there is. And so every species interdimensionally, we have access to that through the representation of the DNA. And these are just frequencies that we're tapping into. They're frequencies of organization of physical matter or non-physical matter. Let's just say sound, light, and energy, and an overseeing consciousness.
And information contained within all of it.
And that, what I love about you, and I love about your work, and I love about Eric is, who's a dear brother of mine. I just adore him. Is that
me too. He's my little Irish friend. We're both Irish. We're both little Irish people.
Is that we represent a new, we'll say, facilitator here on the planet, where we are pointing people back to themselves.
Yes.
And that's truly what I love about, and the people that I invite on this series, they are those people.
Yeah. I love that. And those are people that are attracted to me. The one thing that has really shifted in my practice and my healing practice, I don't even like to call myself a healer. I facilitate. I don't even know. I'm
an architect.
A
visionary.
I don't even like to call myself that. So, I don't know how to, I haven't found the word for us yet, but when I do, I'll make sure to share it, or maybe somebody else out there has the right word. But, I think that when we are, wow, I just completely lost my train of thought. So sorry. What did you say right before that? I apologize.
Oh, it was about like pointing people back to themselves, and then you
Yeah,
started talking
that's,
about.
you know what? Yes, that is like, that is everything to me, is pointing people back to themselves, because everybody has all this light. And so I have all of these, my practice consists almost entirely of other healers coming to me. And then of course my husband, who sends me dog clients, which are my favorite thing in the whole world, because I love doing animal healings, because they're so kind of pure and easy to work with and help to reconnect back in. But you know, I have mostly healers that come to me to get healings and clearings and things like that, because they've woken up and they don't know where to go. You know, they're starting to intuit all of this stuff out there. They're starting to have weird shifts in time. They're having, you know, they're starting to become cognizant of inserts and overlays and time manipulation and, you know, entity and etheric realm interference, as well
AI
as
stuff.
AI stuff. The AI virus right now is running rampant. And so all of these things, a lot of them have taken them within their own being to clear for themselves so that they can learn about it and then help other people. But they come to me dragging dragging so much heaviness with them. And once it's, you know, once we help them to kind of heal themselves from it, whether it's doing trauma clearing or it's helping them to call the pieces of themselves back home that they haven't been able to access before, that really has, you know, shifted my practice exponentially, because I don't tend to get people coming to me who are so inundated that they're kind of almost beyond help, if that makes sense. There's always a spark still in there that I can help. Occasionally I'll get somebody who comes to me that I can't help. But I don't see it as a failing on either one of our parts. Maybe it's not for me to help them. Maybe it's for another healer to help them. Maybe they've got information for them that they need or whatever. So I perceive illness, I perceive parasitic infestation. I perceive, you know, even the AI virus and all that kind of stuff as, you know, an opportunity to shift consciousness. You know, I don't like that this is what is happening on our planet, and I want to be a part of changing it. But I also recognize that my perception is just as important as, you know, my perception of it and what's happening is just as important as what's actually happening, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So for
Especially,
me,
go ahead.
when you come at the perspective of trying to fight like this big warrior, when I first became aware of the construct and I first became aware of NAA interference and all of that kind of stuff, I realized that I could actually do something about it. They were actually a little bit afraid of me. That it was very empowering for me, but it also made me feel powerful to the point of where I was running around slashing and burning and being negative. And it took me a little while. And I kind of credit Lisa Renee for helping me with this. Not that I know her personally, but her energetic synthesis website was very helpful to me to recognize that, you know, these dark beings are still our brothers and sisters, and they need help connecting back into their own light, because they are disconnected. Are they not doing good things? No, they're not. But you treat them with respect, just like you would anybody else or any human. So I come at it from that perspective. And it's something that I wanted to kind of touch on, because a lot of healers are waking up to doing this work. There's a lot of us out there. I mean, honestly, there's not really yet, but it's happening. I see a lot of people interested in doing this type of work and doing this type of healing work.
Absolutely.
And it's super important that we come at it from a heart space and a place of compassion and love for all beings, regardless of how dark or how light and how connected in they are or disconnected. And, you know, that to me is imperative that I get that message out there as well. You cannot help heal what's happening here if you come at it from a place of anger or hatred or wanting to kill or wanting to cause harm to anything, you know, or to take away the free will of any being as well. So
Absolutely. And, you know, got this download one time talking about, you know, technology and technology on the body, and AI is that not all of it, but a lot of it are lost soul parts, are fragmented soul parts that are trying to reconnect back to the human.
Yep.
And so this is how this energy is trying to reconnect back to the human.
Yeah.
And although it's not a true connection, but this is why soul retrieval and going in through DNA and figuring out where these patterns are in these stories, and clearing and recoding them and bringing this energy back and reconnecting these structures and these soul parts is so important. Because I mean, this is the fragmentation that is happening. These are the representations of the fragmentation that is happening from our soul parts.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I 100% agree with that. And that is my exactly where I come from as well. You know, you have to understand that everything is you. And, you know, I know it sounds like a cliche new agey concept, but that's actually the flippant truth. So, you know, it is you. So
Absolutely.
Meaning we all come from the same place. We're all connected into the same being or the same energy or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I know it's cliche, but yeah, we are all one. So we have to behave in that manner that we are all one. And a lot of times when you have interference, it's your own interference, or it's your own fragmentation. Now, you could have had help in fragmenting, because most of us have help fragmenting, but that is the truth of it. A lot of what that causes a lot of our suffering is our own creation.
Absolutely. And going to the point of how we fragmented, why we fragmented is so important.
Yeah.
Because there's a lesson there, a soul lesson, but it is also a clearing for the collective conscious. Those types of soul fragmentation are part of a bigger collective separation split. And so when we go in that, we we not only heal ourselves, we heal our genetics, but we heal the collective. And I would really love to know more about what you consider a soul's patterned multidimensionality, and like, how would you help a soul figure that out, their unique soul vibrational patterning for their soul mission? Because I think that's, you know, we're having mass awakenings right now.
We
mass
are
awakening, and we need more light workers who understand working with light and with love and compassion and the shadow work, all of it. We need people to step forward more.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many people who are going to be in need. And, you know, so what does this really look like for you and the work that you're doing?
So for me personally, what that entails is helping people to create a map to that. First and foremost, you have to kind of understand yourself on an energetic level, understand how you're energetically structured. You have the basic of your energetic structure as a human being. And that's first of all is the key, because what that does is it starts to create a map. Once you start to understand yourself on an energetic level and the components of yourself, then you can start to go exploring in that. And one of the parts that is really, really helpful is, this is my personal belief system just from doing the work that I do, is the fifth dimensional component of a human being is a template structure. Now, understand that, like, my concept is that every layer of your field may have similar frequencies to other people, but it's unique. There's nobody that exists exactly like it, even if you were cloned. there's nobody that exists exactly like you anywhere in the universe, and that's just a reality. You're unique. You have a specific pattern of frequency that nobody else has, combined with all of the layers of your light body, along with the layers that go out and out and out and out and out, right? All of your experiences, past, present, future, sideways, up ways, down ways, multidimensionally, parallel realities, whatever you want to call it, all this beautiful soup of you is literally that is what makes a unique patterns. And when we're talking about patterns, I'm talking about the whole thing, but I'm also talking about like your fifth dimensional aspect that is really super easily accessible. I mean, honestly, it's just in your energy body already. It's right there. And it contains the kind of all of the information that you need to help you to understand your purpose here, your reason for coming here. And the fifth dimension talk is specifically kind of has to do with why you incarnated on the planet right now, and what your your mission is and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that's what I mean is helping you to connect back into that. First, you have to become conscious that that information exists. You don't have to go and channel a light being to tell you this information. You don't have to, go to somebody who's going to do a reading for you, although that can be very helpful because it can help you to connect into that information, right? But going ahead and doing your work to clear make shadows and blocks and things like that, doing your trauma work and starting to kind of increase your frequency that way, or just help you to become, more vibrate at the frequency that you were meant to vibrate at, as opposed to the one that's been, kind of either chosen for you or thrust upon you, is very, very helpful. And once you start to do that, you need to be aware that that information exists within you. And then B, you want to start to do the work that you need to do to be able to access it. And that's a lot of healing work that can happen. I believe that everybody should be able to access that information whenever they want to, whenever it's available, but that's not what's happening right now. We do have a lot of interference, both just our own personal shadow and trauma that we need to address. So many of us came here also to help clear, ancestral clearing. Lisa Renee uses a beautiful phrase. She calls it genetic path cutting. So you got all this DNA that needs to be, addressed.
Yeah,
I don't even need to go into that. And so the thing of it is that, and then we've got all of this other interference happening as well that we're constantly having to work on. So it can be kind of challenging to start to connect in. We also have these kind of frequency fences that we were born with that tend to disconnect us, or at least cause a very large filtration system to happen, to be able to connect in with our own, let's just call it what it is, psychic abilities or intuition or whatever you want to call it, which is really just you connecting into all the layers of your reality, as opposed to, being disconnected from it. So we've got frequency fences in between that kind of hinder the process. So really, the more you start to do your self-work, and the more you start to make, first of all, you want to create an intention that this is what you want to experience, right? Because we're creator beings. So you start to create an intention. I want to find my, why I'm here. I want to connect in with my own beautiful, unique, multidimensional self and pattern. So you start with that, and then what happens, and you just continue to do your self work. You start attracting people that can help you, or you start attracting information that will help you to start to connect in. Sometimes just knowing that it's there is enough to activate somebody, because that's really what it is. It's a style of activation, just understanding it.
Absolutely. Through working with the DNA, the first 4 strands, is like, my representation is like genetics, ancestral, past, present life situation, which is the 4th strand of DNA, which is basically
Right.
like the 4D. It's your own personal story.
Exactly.
And 5D is really where, you tap into your 5th dimensional template, which is about unity consciousness.
Yes.
And what I mean by this is that it is the resonance of your unique soul sound vibration with the pattern and fabric of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
This is a whole mastery of template information that starts to come through, because you no longer are from a place of ego and about you come from that universal human of a global, we'll say, citizen, a universal citizen. And when you expand like that and you start making conscious decisions from this place, I mean, this is the power. This is the new human. This is like the new earth that we're creating.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah. I love your interpretation and the way that
You
you're
know,
working.
you know, it's cool because it's the same thing. We're talking about the same thing, and my mind does go to DNA a lot, especially because I have a genetic disease that was passed down by my grandmother, and has had multiple, incarnations and multiple realities. So, just that alone always brings me toward that concept of things as well. But I love how you described it. I thought it was a really beautiful, really a simple way for people to understand exactly what's going on. It's kind of like we're describing the same thing, but from our different unique templates. So,
Exactly.
that's what I'm talking about right there. I can teach 12 people how to access their own higher self. I can teach 12 people how to do an etheric clearing or a trauma release, and every single one of them will do them completely different in a way that I did not teach them how to do, because they connect into their smart part, and their smart part starts running the show, because the smart part doesn't come from a place of the 3D mind. So when we're talking about like mission stuff, we're not talking about, oh, I'm going to go work at this place and I'm going to go do this and I've got my twin flame that I need to go connect with and all this kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about understanding your role to play in the healing of humanity, and the connection in with your off-world family as well, but just understanding it from a more holistic perspective, so that you know what to do here to accomplish that. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, oh, I'm here because I'm supposed to be a healer, or I'm here because I'm supposed to be doing this. That's not what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. And you bring up a beautiful point about how we have completely wired ourselves and encoded our DNA with everything that we will need
Yes.
to
Yes.
fulfill this role, to
Yeah.
be this part, to create this consciousness for ourselves, for humanity, for the universe, for the expansion of what is next. Because even though we're accessing this particular soul lifetime mission, there are multidimensional missions that are being had. And when you start tapping into future timelines, you really start to see how multidimensional your mission is, even though the construct is the physical part that's unfolding right now and here for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It is unfolding multidimensionally through the fabric of the universe.
Yeah.
And it is so spectacular to see. And I love that point. And so you have a beautiful free gift for everybody, and that is your pattern multidimensionality. And would you like to share what this is for everyone?
The free gift is, what did I write down? I forgot.
It is your pattern multidimensionality.
Your pattern multidimensionality. I think I was going to create a meditation. I have a meditation actually already. Sorry.
Yes.
That is, I'm going to share with people.
Here it is. It is the gold and silver light for balancing divine feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah. Okay. So what that is, actually, it sounds really benign, but it's actually quite powerful, because, as we start to become less dense in frequency, because I always see things in terms of frequency, like you always see everything in terms of, DNA. I see it in terms of light and frequency, right? So for me personally, what happens is we start to lose the polarized idea of things, and we become more balanced energetically, to where we have, masculine and feminine energy is completely in balance. And it just, there is no polarization after you start to connect in with yourself on higher levels of frequency. So what the meditation is designed to do is to help people to start to balance that out, to where they feel, to where there is not either too much, how do I explain this? So there's not too much masculine energy and too much feminine energy. Now, what I mean by masculine and feminine is not male and female, and it has nothing to do with gender. What I'm talking about is, I'm talking about, what a lot of people call masculine energy. It's active energy. It's like a pushing energy or an active energy, and feminine energy is receptive. It's magnetic. male is like electric and female is, is magnetic. And so this is, as creator beings, we need to have both of those things in order to be able to function properly. So this is my way of kind of sharing that in a very kind of 3D way, so that people can start to connect into that information within themselves, and that balance that exists in the higher realms for them that they aren't currently experiencing here in the third dimension and the lower layers of their field. So it's my gift to you guys. It's a very, very nice meditation, a very easy meditation. It's a very grounded meditation, and I think people will like it. Because for me, it's not, when we talk about balance, I'm just talking about being able to access all the aspects of yourself as a creator being, and that's one of them is, and one of the reasons why it can be so challenging for us is because we've had that kind of magnetic attractive aspect has been really manipulated and controlled in multiple ways. And so we have to kind of start to claim that, even for women, when we're talking about feminine energy or whatever, most of us have an overabundance of masculine active electric energy. We have a hard time with manifestation because of it. There's been a great hijacking of our ability to be able to manifest our reality. So that can just help to balance that out a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I completely agree with what you just said. And, when I'm working with someone through the DNA, and we're using the double helix as the masculine, feminine representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The double helix. It's hardly ever the feminine that is the oversized, dominating, has more legs. It's always the masculine side, because we live in a masculine culture. We are the representation again of that biofeedback that is happening. And I love using DNA, and I love what you're using, or what you have created for this masculine and feminine balance, because when we have that we'll say outside the polarity, that there is again another energy that is created. And this is a part of our unconditional source, our infinite potential. And so beautiful. And is there anything else that you would love to share about your work before we go? Because I love you and I value you. And if there's, anything else that you'd love to share, please take the time.
I just would love everybody, if everybody in the world could connect in with their own sovereignty and autonomy and self-responsibility. I think that is kind of sorely lacking on the planet right now. We tend to often point the fingers at everybody else. I just think finger pointing should stop in general. So when someone's really sick, I get really upset when I see healers who are saying, look within, look within. And it's like, you know what? Do you say that to a person who's bleeding out on your table in the hospital? No. You sew up the wounds, and you do what needs to be done to help them, and then you just say, okay, maybe you shouldn't play with knives while you're running. You know what I mean? So there's a huge shift that I really hope to be a part of, to help us to start to connect in with our own personal autonomy, but also recognize that we are connected into a greater whole. That is connected into a greater whole. And right now we have an opportunity to shift the consciousness in this beautiful group container that we've created around this planet. And I would love for everybody to, be a part of that in their own unique and beautiful way. And whatever help that I can offer them to do that, that's what I'm here for. That's all I have to say.
Oh, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And
you're welcome.
Thank you for supporting the new human and the new earth. And I'm so happy we're here at this time together.
Me too.
And
did you know that today's the equinox?
It is the equinox.
First day of spring.
Yay!
I just thought of it. I looked at it. I'm like, wait, it's the 19th. I think it's the 19th, right? Yeah.
It's the 19th. Today's the spring equinox. And we're such in a time right now where we truly are birthing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a beautiful, I just love spring anyway, but that's exciting that we're having the conversation today. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this beautiful thing that you created. I'm just so appreciative of people like you who really take the bull by the horns and put their faces out there, and organize all of us disorganized, you know, people who are running around trying to make a difference. I think it's really beautiful, and I really appreciate you.
We're in this together.
Yep.
And it's important for us to be seen right now, because so many people are going to be awakening. And this is, you know, I'm here to help create the new human in the new earth. And I'm also here to help people have a gentler awakening process. And if I personally don't like to be in front of the camera either. It's not my.
Well, you look beautiful in front of the camera.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Thanks.
But you know, sometimes we have to recognize, you know, moving into that 5D template, that it's not about us.
Yep. That's
and
the key.
We have to put our shit aside and, and step through.
Which is it's not always the funnest thing in the world, believe me. But you know, it kind of is fun though, actually.
Yeah.
Bringing a little joy into it is important, because sometimes I find myself getting very, very serious. So I have to bring a lot of silly into what I do, or I wouldn't make it, you know, because what I do can be really hard. I mean, I deal with a lot of people who've suffered some really extreme trauma.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, it's important that we bring like joy into it as well. So that was another thing I wanted to say. I forgot.
Yeah. And I would also like to say is that, you know, we have come a long way, a millennia of stories and history and genetics and architecture. And, you know, right now, I believe is one of the most important times to celebrate the human for everything that we've gone through, everything that we've transmuted. And, you know,
and we have some time to do that
so much
right now.
And now, and now we have plenty of time to celebrate and to celebrate the new human. And I celebrate you, and thank you so much. Thank you. I celebrate all of you for everything that led you to this point right now. And thank you for being here and being a co-creator on this planet and having light to share with others. So thank you. And please check out Barbara Buck. Her website, all her details will be up, and check out her free gift. Sounds absolutely amazing. And I hope that this served you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.